There is a place in the heart of Europe that holds more secrets than any kingdom, government, or intelligence agency. A city so small you could walk across it in less than an hour, yet powerful enough to influence millions of lives. Behind ancient stone walls and guarded gates lies the Vatican. To most, it is the center of faith, a symbol of tradition, a spiritual home. But to others, it is something far more mysterious. What is hidden inside the Vatican archives? Why are some documents sealed for centuries? What knowledge has the world never been allowed to see? For over 2,000 years, this place has witnessed empires rise and fall, wars begin and end, and secrets buried deeper than history itself. Some believe the Vatican protects sacred truths. Others believe it hides dangerous ones. Tonight, we step beyond the walls, into stories of forbidden knowledge, unexplained artifacts, missing texts, and mysteries that refuse to fade. Because the greatest secrets are not always lost. Sometimes they're carefully guarded. Hidden deep within the Vatican walls lies one of the most guarded collections of knowledge in human history. The Vatican Apostolic Archives, often called the Secret Archives. Despite the dramatic name, the word secret originally meant private, not mysterious. But over time, the mystery grew far beyond the meaning of the word. These archives stretch for miles beneath the Vatican. Shelves upon shelves of handwritten letters, ancient scrolls, trial records, papal correspondence, and documents that date back more than 1,000 years. Some historians say that if you walked through every corridor, it would take days. Access is extremely limited. Only a small number of qualified scholars are allowed in each year, and even they cannot see everything. Entire sections remain closed, sealed, or restricted. No cameras, no phones, no copying most documents. Knowledge here is not meant to spread easily. Inside these walls are letters from kings and queens, records of political alliances, confessions, accusations, and secrets shared directly with popes. Some files document moments when religion and power collided, when faith shaped the fate of nations. One of the most famous documents stored here is the trial record of Galileo Galilei, the scientist who challenged the idea that the Earth was the center of the universe. His writings were judged, questioned, and nearly erased from history. His case remains a symbol of conflict between knowledge and authority. There are also letters believed to be from Michelangelo, detailing his struggles while painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Messages from European monarchs asking the church for support in times of war. And reports from missionaries who traveled to lands that were, at the time, unknown to Europe. But beyond the historical records lies the true source of fascination. What hasn't been revealed? What documents are still sealed? What discoveries, prophecies, or controversial texts remain locked away? Some believe the archives contain early versions of biblical texts that differ from the ones we know today. Others think there are records of unexplained phenomena, visions, miracles, events that defy modern understanding. Conspiracy theories suggest even more knowledge about extraterrestrial life, ancient technologies, or proof that could challenge the foundations of religion. There is no solid evidence for these claims, yet the secrecy fuels imagination. The Vatican insists the archives are preserved, not hidden. They say the materials are fragile, historically sensitive, and require careful study. And in many cases, that is true. But secrecy, even when practical, creates space for doubt. Because history is not just what happened. It is what was written down and what was left out. And deep underground, in rooms protected for centuries, the past waits quietly. Preserved, protected, and perhaps still incomplete. When most people think of the Bible, they imagine a complete and final book, a fixed collection of sacred writings. But what many don't realize is that the Bible we know today was shaped by decisions, choices about which text belonged, and which did not. In the early centuries of Christianity, there was no single agreed-upon Bible. Dozens of Gospels, letters, and teachings circulated among different communities. Some told familiar stories. Others described Jesus in ways very different from what later became official doctrine. These writings are often called the apocryphal Gospels or the Gnostic texts. And for centuries, many of them were hidden, banned, or simply lost. One of the most famous is the Gospel of Thomas. Discovered in 1945 in Egypt, it contains sayings attributed to Jesus, but without the usual narrative of miracles, crucifixion, or resurrection. Instead, it focuses on inner knowledge, personal enlightenment, and spiritual awakening. Another is the Gospel of Mary, believed to be connected to Mary Magdalene. In it, she appears not as a background figure, but as a close disciple who receives special teachings. Some passages suggest she understood Jesus' message in a deeply spiritual way, which challenged traditional authority structures. Then there is the Gospel of Judas. In this text, Judas Iscariot is not portrayed simply as a traitor, but as someone acting according to a divine plan. The idea that betrayal could be part of a sacred purpose shocked many believers when the text became known. Why were these writings excluded? Early church leaders faced a growing challenge: unity. Christianity was spreading fast, but beliefs varied widely. To prevent division, councils were held to decide which teachings were authoritative. Texts that aligned with the emerging doctrine were preserved. Others were labeled heretical. Some emphasized personal spiritual experience over church authority. Some described complex cosmologies, angels, and layers of spiritual realms. Others presented Jesus more as a teacher of hidden wisdom than a suffering savior. To church authorities, such ideas could lead to confusion or loss of control. So the canon was formed, and alternative voices faded into the shadows. But the text did not disappear completely. Buried in jars, hidden in deserts, copied in secret, they survived history's attempts to silence them. Their existence raises uncomfortable questions. Was the formation of Scripture purely spiritual or also political? How different might Christianity look today if these texts had been included? The Vatican, like other institutions, studies these writings carefully. Scholars examine them for historical context, language, and meaning. Officially, they are considered important historical documents, but not divinely inspired scripture. Yet their words continue to fascinate millions, because they suggest a version of early Christianity that was diverse, mystical, and far more complex than many imagine. Sometimes, what is forbidden does not vanish. It waits until history is ready to look again. Beyond books and documents, the Vatican is also a keeper of objects, relics, artifacts, and symbols that have traveled across centuries. Some are displayed in museums. Others are rarely seen. A few are known only through stories. In Catholic tradition, relics are physical objects connected to saints or sacred events. Bones, clothing, fragments of wood, ancient tools. To believers, they are reminders of faith made tangible. To historians, they are pieces of cultural history. But some relics blur the line between devotion and mystery. One of the most famous is a fragment believed to be from the true cross, the cross on which Jesus was crucified. Pieces of wood preserved for centuries, venerated and protected. Whether symbolic or authentic, their presence shaped devotion for generations. Then there is the veil of Veronica, said to bear the imprint of Christ's face. A cloth, an image, and a story passed down through tradition. The original's history is uncertain, yet replicas and accounts fueled centuries of belief. The Vatican also preserves ancient manuscripts written on fragile parchment, inks long faded but still legible. Some contain early theological debates. Others record miracles, visions, or unexplained occurrences reported by witnesses who believe they had seen the divine. Among the more unusual artifacts are astronomical instruments. For centuries, the Church observed the skies. Telescopes, star charts, celestial records. The Vatican Observatory still exists today. Faith and science were not always enemies. Sometimes they moved together in search of understanding. There are also objects brought by missionaries from distant lands, statues, symbols, artifacts from cultures Europe once considered unknown. Some represent encounters between belief systems, moments when worlds collided. Legends speak of even stranger items, sealed containers, unknown relics, objects locked away due to uncertainty about their origin or meaning. Official records rarely confirm such stories. But like all great institutions, the Vatican carries layers of history, some documented, some whispered. The power of these artifacts does not lie only in what they are, but in what they represent. Faith, fear, hope, control, human attempts to touch the divine. Because objects survive when people do not. They pass through wars, fires, revolutions, silent witnesses to history. And inside stone walls that have stood for centuries, these relics remain, preserved not just as things, but as symbols of belief and mystery intertwined. In 1917, in a small village in Portugal called Fatima, 3 shepherd children claimed to witness a series of apparitions of the Virgin Mary. What began as a local event soon grew into one of the most significant religious mysteries of the 20th century. The children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, said the figure they saw gave them messages. Not one, but 3 secrets. The first 2 were revealed relatively quickly. They spoke of visions of hell, the need for prayer, and warnings about war and suffering. But it was the 3rd secret that would capture the world's imagination. The 3rd message was written down by Lucia, sealed, and delivered to church authorities with instructions that it should be revealed later. For decades, it remained hidden in Vatican custody. The silence only deepened speculation. Why keep a message from heaven secret? Rumors spread that it spoke of global catastrophe, the fall of the church, or events too frightening to share. Some believed it predicted nuclear war. Others thought it warned of internal corruption within religious leadership. In the year 2000, the Vatican officially revealed the 3rd secret. It described a symbolic vision, a bishop dressed in white, walking through a ruined city filled with suffering, eventually struck down. The church interpreted this as a reference to the 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. For many believers, the explanation was accepted, but for others, questions remained. Some claimed the text released was incomplete. They pointed to statements made over the years suggesting the secret involved an apostasy within the church, a loss of faith from the inside. The Vatican has consistently maintained that the entire message was published. Yet debate continues, fueled by earlier hints, interviews, and the dramatic nature of the story itself. Beyond Fatima, the Church has encountered many reported prophecies, visions, and revelations. Most are approached with caution. Few receive official recognition. The line between faith, psychology, and mystery is not always clear. But Fatima remains different. The scale, the witnesses, the historical timing during World War I, and the lasting impact set it apart. It reminds us that belief is not only about the past. It is also about the future, about what people fear, hope, and imagine may come. Prophecies, whether divine or symbolic, shape human history. They influence decisions, inspire devotion, and sometimes spark fear. And when a message is sealed for decades, it gains a power of its own, the power of the unknown. Where history, faith, and power meet, stories are born. Some are documented. Others live in whispers. And around the Vatican, one of the oldest institutions on Earth, legends have grown for centuries. These stories are not official history. They are theories, speculations, and myths that reflect humanity's fascination with secrecy and authority. One of the most persistent ideas is that the Vatican hides knowledge that could change the way we see the world. Supposed ancient texts, scientific discoveries made too early for their time, documents that challenge accepted history. Another legend claims there are underground chambers beyond the known archives, rooms sealed for reasons never explained. Some imagine forgotten artifacts. Others imagine knowledge deemed too dangerous. There are also rumors of coded messages hidden in religious art and architecture, symbols within symbols, meanings layered beneath beauty. The idea that cathedrals and paintings might contain secret knowledge appeals to the human love of puzzles. Some theories connect the Vatican to secret societies, organizations said to influence world events from behind the scenes. Historians note that throughout history, powerful groups often attracted suspicion. Mystery invites imagination. Modern conspiracies even step into the realm of science fiction. Claims about extraterrestrial information, hidden technologies, or suppressed discoveries circulate online. There is no credible evidence for these ideas, yet they spread rapidly in the digital age. Why do these stories persist? Because secrecy creates space. When information is limited, imagination fills the gaps. And the Vatican, by its nature, operates with tradition, ritual, and privacy, a combination that can appear mysterious from the outside. Psychologists say conspiracy theories often arise where trust is fragile and questions feel unanswered. They're less about facts and more about the human need to make sense of complex systems. The truth is, the Vatican is both less and more than the legends suggest. It is a religious state, a historical archive, a cultural center, and a spiritual symbol. But like all institutions that endure centuries, it carries layers, some visible, some misunderstood. The shadows around it tell us as much about ourselves as they do about the Church, about our fears of hidden power, our hope that mysteries exist, our curiosity about what might lie beyond the known. Because sometimes the mystery is not in what is hidden, but in why we believe something must be. Some theories connect the Vatican to secret societies, organizations said to influence world events from behind the scenes. Historians note that throughout history, powerful groups often attracted suspicion. Mystery invites imagination. Modern conspiracies even step into the realm of science fiction. Claims about extraterrestrial information, hidden technologies, or suppressed discoveries circulate online. There is no credible evidence for these ideas, yet they spread rapidly in the digital age. Why do these stories persist? Because secrecy creates space. When information is limited, imagination fills the gaps. And the Vatican, by its nature, operates with tradition, ritual, and privacy, a combination that can appear mysterious from the outside. Psychologists say conspiracy theories often arise where trust is fragile and questions feel unanswered. They're less about facts and more about the human need to make sense of complex systems. The truth is, the Vatican is both less and more than the legends suggest. It is a religious state, a historical archive, a cultural center, and a spiritual symbol. But like all institutions that endure centuries, it carries layers, some visible, some misunderstood. The shadows around it tell us as much about ourselves as they do about the Church, about our fears of hidden power, our hope that mysteries exist, our curiosity about what might lie beyond the known. Because sometimes the mystery is not in what is hidden, but in why we believe something must be. What makes the Vatican unique is scale. Its influence crosses continents, cultures, and generations. Its decisions echo far beyond its walls. And where influence exists, mystery follows. Yet many historians argue that the greatest secret of the Vatican may not be a hidden document or forbidden artifact. It may simply be the story of how belief shapes history, how faith builds institutions, how symbols gain power because people give them meaning. The archives, relics, prophecies, and legends all point to the same human truth. We are drawn to what we cannot fully explain. We search for patterns, messages, signs that something larger is at work. And perhaps that is why the Vatican fascinates the world. Not because it holds all the answers, but because it sits at the boundary between the known and the unknowable, between faith and doubt, between history and legend, between what is written and what is believed. When the lights fade over St. Peter's Square and the crowds disappear, the Vatican returns to silence. A silence that has lived here for centuries. A silence that has witnessed empires rise and fall, wars begin and end, and humanity change in ways no one could have imagined. But the questions remain. Behind its guarded doors, behind stone walls warmed by the sun and cooled by the night, history continues to breathe quietly. Documents age, ink fades, secrets, whether real or imagined, settle deeper into time. Yet the Vatican does not chase mystery. It simply exists, and mystery grows around it like shadow around light. Perhaps the greatest truth is this: not everything hidden is meant to deceive. Some things are hidden because they are sacred, some because they are fragile, and some because the world is not yet ready to understand them. For believers, the Vatican is a place of faith, a bridge between heaven and earth. For skeptics, it is a fortress of unanswered questions. For historians, it is a living archive of human civilization. And maybe all three are right, because in the end, the Vatican is not just a place. It is a mirror, a reflection of humanity's deepest hopes, fears, and need to believe that something greater guides the chaos of the world. Mysteries may be uncovered, archives may open, truths may emerge, but there will always be one secret no archive can hold. Why humans continue to search for meaning beyond what they can see. As long as that question lives, the mystery of the Vatican will never truly end.